So today I'm tuning a 2017 BMW M3. If you guys don't know, I personally hold the record for quickest F80 M3 in the world. No one's broken my record yet. This car is pretty normal though. This guy is running pump gas, 93 octane. He has upgraded pure turbos and I think an MST intake. That's really it. Stock intercooler, stock everything else. I know it looks wild. Guy's got a sick wrap on it. Dude, see this freaking yellow? That, the BBS's, white cage with the seat still in it. I'm pretty with it on the looks of this car, but we're gonna get the power up to par. So this car stock should make 420 horsepower. Tune should make between 500 and 550. It might sound low, being that these cars on stock turbos make 500 wheel on pump gas. Pure turbos, or upgrade turbos for the matter, I'm not the biggest fan of. I've had tons of reliability issues, and often they make somewhere between, let's say, 500 and 575 wheel at 22, 23 pounds boost. A lot of other people run them way harder than I do to gain another 5 or 10 wheel, but really it's just the inconsistency I see. But that's why my F80 drift car runs stock turbos. If I do anything, I'll do an upgraded single turbo, and then also, to be honest with you, it's like a Vargas turbo that you have your OEM up, your OEM turbos to throw back on after is probably the best bet, but this has a turbo that requires your core to get sent out, get modified, get made. We're gonna do baseline pulls right now, and then we're gonna tune it all the way up to see what the most power it can make is on pump 93 octane. Also, when it comes to intakes, anything that goes under the hood is really not the best thing ever. It's gonna make more power in the dyno compared to stock because it flows more, but the OEM air box is ducked to the front, and that's what we want. That's why our front mount intakes go to the front. It is hands down the best design intake that you can make for these cars. That's why we make them, that's why we sell them. There's no cutting corners. If you do intakes in these cars, buy drop-in filters. If you wanna be cheap, no problem, or buy front mount intakes like ours that fit right, work right. Doing things like this are not it. It's gonna make more power than I know, but it's gonna heat soak more in the real world. Engine bay gets hot, you're literally sucking hot air. I know people say that it has heat shields and whatever. I don't care. So just reading this car out, just checking the codes right off the rip, it has a coolant temperature code. Not really coolant temperature, more so like air in the system. I already looked at it, it has a CSF heat exchanger. I already tried bleeding on the top. It seems like it has fluid, but I don't think it's bleeding properly. I usually squeeze the hose. That way we check whether or not we feel fluid going through. I don't really feel it that much. I don't know what's going on, but I looked, it has a CSF heat exchanger. It's really common, these CSF heat exchangers, people don't bleed them right. They install them poorly and don't bleed them. So luckily I can get a flathead through, crack the bleeder. We're gonna wait till fluid comes out. Car's gotta be right to do this, so it's a little loud, it's a little loud. Here's the intercooler. Fluid looks pretty high. I'm gonna leave that open. Before I do any data pulls in this car, the first thing I always do, and same thing customers do if you're using MHD, go to the car, flash stage 0. That makes sure your car's on a 100% stock power tune, and it makes it so it's on a software version that I can for sure tune with MHD. Flash stage 0, car run and drive perfectly. Once that's done, you're gonna go to the trouble code screen, read DME codes. It's gonna give you a VIN number, it's gonna give you a software version number. You're gonna take that, email it to me or your tuner if you're using MHD. Then you wait for a tune. For me, it's pretty much do the exact same steps. I'm gonna flash car. Once it's done flashing, I'm gonna make the tune for this guy's car, baseline it, and then see what it is. The same way a customer would go ahead and they'll dyno their car, or they'll do street polls and send me data logs. I'm doing the exact same thing. I review the data logs, I check how everything is. It's just that here it might take me 2 hours, which might take you many days of revisions. Just the nature of remote tuning versus in-person dyno tuning. Both work pretty much the same as long as your tuner's not savage. He does a good job. He's not super aggressive. Make sure everything's good. A lot of people push him way too hard, try making power to fight for 10 horsepower. Me, I'll make the most safe power possible always. I even data log car stock often. I actually have to turn on traction control. I'm a bozo. I am gonna do a log on this car stock, see exactly what it makes, make sure everything's working right. I have a bunch of cars often that the exhaust hits somewhere, makes vibrations, pulls timing, and it's super low. So let's get to it. Let's see what this car does. I have to now go outside and really hook the camera up and do actual pull for you guys. So the car made 446 wheel horsepower. Actually pretty good for a stock tuned car, but obviously has turbos. Normally it's about 420 wheel for a non-competition package car. Tune is uploaded. I always drive for a minute or so, make sure everything's warm, and also because fuel pressure does weird things otherwise. We do pulls in 5th gear in this car. We're gonna make a pull right now. See when it runs with my off the So the car made 527 wheel horsepower. Just a note, even though it made good power stock, it actually did pull a little bit of time. It pulled 2 to 3 degrees, which is a little high for a stock-ish F80. My tune right now, more boost is pulling a little bit more. Could have exhaust touching somewhere, which makes it pull timing randomly, or it could just be the gas quality. I mean, not every car makes 550, 560, 570. Those are usually the top. I don't know which variant pure turbos these are. Normally stock turbo cars is like a 500 wheel, 505 maybe. Best of the best, maybe a few horsepower more with like the best exhaust combo, the best intake combo, which is not what this has. So 527 is not horrible. I'm gonna see if I can tweak the tune, see if I can clean it up. It pulls a little time, see if I can clean that up and then turn it up, make more, maybe. My end goal is not 1,000 horsepower. I made 1,200 horsepower before in F80s. My car holds all the records still for at least ET, maybe not mile per hour. Went 3.8, 6130 in F80 M3, pretty fast, I think. This is not that. This is a normal customer wants to drive his car 50, 60, 70, 80,000 miles more with no real problem. So my goal is not just to make 550 right now, push it. It's to make the most safe power. Stock numbers are 433 wheel horsepower. These cars stock do 420, 430, so turbos, no tune, have added about 0 horsepower, to be very, very honest. Nothing really amazing. No, I fucked up and didn't have the right correction on the fucking dyno. So we gotta do this to show it right. I don't know. Upload, who the fuck's this? Dude, BMW guys know that BMW noise. I'm relatively immune to it, but pretty annoying sometimes. Rev Rip, our baseline tune made 513 wheel. Stock car, no turbos, does 500. Not really too amazing. If you spend a bunch of money on turbos, you expect to make 550 horsepower. They don't all do that. Last that I had, made 555 though. It wasn't pure, it's different turbos though. Car matters, fuel matters, everything matters. 513 wheel. Gonna custom tune it, gonna make some tweaks, see what we can do. I got all day. Let's see what little things make what differences. Maybe I'm a yellow car guy now. I don't know. I made a few tweaks to see if we get this car to stop pulling timing, because I don't really like that. I want it to last as long forever as possible. I did check at his exhaust. If you see right now, it's like the camera clip that every car guy has on his phone, where I'm laying down underneath the car trying to see. The exhaust is not rubbed anywhere, which is pretty wonderful. Let's see if these tweaks make a difference power-wise. See if we get a little bit more out of it. I don't see massive numbers if it keeps pulling timing. Could also be the quality of its fuel. And boost-wise, I'm really not running anything crazy. You guys can see it right now in the top corner of the screen. After doing pull after pull after pull, I got pretty dialed. So far I made, on top of the original base map, I think I made 3 revisions or 2 revisions, nothing crazy yet. I'm just checking a few things. It seems like it's really air temp related when the car pulls more and more timing. It seems like I do a fresh pull, car running, it might pull randomly a degree or 2, nothing crazy. And as I do back to back hits, it runs lower and lower timing. It's not showing knock in the log, so everything's working fine. Sort of the cooling's just not that great, but it's whatever. I tweaked it, I added a hair more boost up top, because up top it doesn't pull any timing, everything's amazing. So hair more boost, hair more timing up top. I mean, I'm talking about minuscule amounts. We'll see if it makes a power gain. If it doesn't, then we stop there. We leave it how it was at 537, was my best so far. Oh, this car's air, and I was strapping this car, like barely fitting underneath it. I thought he was just hella stance, this guy, to air the whole time. I think I'm done at 537 wheel horsepower. Really cool for a second, make one more rip, and that might be it. But if you want to tune, we sell tunes, intakes, bunch of car parts on RKTUNES.com. I haven't tuned these cars for a while. This is what I do BMW stuff, tune cars. Maybe I got what you need. So just when I thought I was done, I was like, let me let the car cool for a minute or two. Cold air seems to really help with power. I made a hit, the car made 550 wheels. So a little bit better than I expected. That's over 120 horsepower over stock with the turbo. Like I said, if you didn't have the turbos, it'd still be a clean 500, 505, but 120 wheel change from a tune. These are bolt-on upgrades. Nothing crazy. I'm still not doing turbos on my F80, on my drift car. It ain't happening. I need the reliability. I can't trust things like this to last for really long. So this is the difference between lay the car cool off and then doing hits back to back. 550 wheels, lay the car cool off, and there's a green run. I mean, almost everywhere it made more power, and then back to back, we're at 536. Versus before, the best it was about 535, 536, even after cooling off. So the little change I made did make a power difference. So I'm gonna let them rock. And this 22, 23 pound boost, nothing crazy. Some people on off-the-shelf tunes for these cars run 25 pound boost. Way too much. Not good, not safe, not it. So I'm gonna overlay stock versus, we'll call it my off-the-shelf flash. for this setup versus custom tuned. And then you're gonna say, wow, custom tuning's worth a lot. It is my normal tune. I make sure it's super safe, super reliable. If you do a revision or two with me, you'll end up right here. The thing is like 3 or 4 total revisions of testing things. And you might do a revision and might say, hey, it didn't help. Go back to the old one, but that's just how it goes. So here we literally have 413 wheel horsepower stock, 416 wheel torque. My all this helped me 80 wheel horsepower, 90 wheel torque almost, which is really, really good. And then after custom dialing in, we're talking about 120 wheel horsepower and 120 wheel torque, which is literally insane. The gains are just wild. So that's 120 wheel horsepower, 120 wheel torque from a tune alone. There's no other changes. Obviously, car stuff done to it, but I mean, the gains are just massive. If your car is stock without turbos, you're gonna see about 500, 520 all in all. But with the turbos, you can make a really big difference on this car with a really nice power curve. With stock turbos, often falls off up top a little bit, power dies down. And on this one, as you see, the power just literally goes almost all the way to red line, 7,500 RPMs right here, and it's still 549 or whatever horsepower with a huge power curve. What's better than 100 horsepower from a tune? I don't know. I think that's good.